All right, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I got to say thank you to Shay Brown for allowing us to be a part of this platform. And again, I want to say thank you to the audience that's here right now. And I want to just start by just telling you this. Greatness is in you. It's in you. All you got to do is believe. All you got to do is believe. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Barry Overton, and I am here to help you light the fire within and ignite that greatness that's inside of you. How do I know it's inside of you? Because I found it inside of me, and I've helped so many others to find that fire inside of them. Let me just start by asking you the question, and if you can put it in the chat or raise your hand, where are my dreamers at? If you're on here and you're a dreamer, just raise your hand and let me know that we're here. Because see, I got dream right here on my cuff. I'm a dreamer 24/7. And I just want to know where my dreamers at. And the dreamers I'm talking about are not the ones that just dream about the things that they want to do, but the ones that put a plan behind it and then take action to pursue that dream until it's a reality. Where are those people at? Let me tell you, I'm going to take you back to my childhood. See, one thing that I learned about dreamers early on is that there are a lot of us out there. Most of us are about 4, 5, 6 years old. So you remember at that age, we could dream and didn't have any worry in the world about it not coming true because all we knew is that the dream would happen. And see what happens in life, sometimes the people closest to us start to take that dream and kind of shake us into their reality and take us out of our own dream. When I was 4 years old, I can tell you my dream, I wanted to be Superman. And I'm not talking about Superman on TV or Superman in the movies. I wanted to be the real Superman. I was Superman in training. See, I had the terry cloth towel with the big safety pin tied around my neck, and I'm running around the neighborhood. That cape or towel is just flapping in the wind. And I'm telling you, I was Superman in training, and I did that for a couple of years. And then I had someone that shook my dream from me. And who was that? It was my grandmother. She sat me down at about 7 years old, and she said, "Baby, I got to tell you something. You can't be Superman. See, that's not real. That's a figment of your imagination. Now, you're going to have to stop running around the neighborhood with that cape on because people are starting to talk. They think something's wrong with you. They think you're slow." In a moment, the dream was shattered. But I can tell you, I was fortunate that all through my life, I always had to have a dream. So I found another dream. And at 7 years old, I decided, well, I want to be a football player and not just any football player. I want to be the best to ever do it. I want to go to Super Bowls and Pro Bowls and Hall of Fames. I want to, be an MVP, a Pro Bowl type of player. So from 7 to 17, that is what I did. I pursued football. And I can tell you, at 17, I was a wide receiver. I was tall, skinny, fast, and I was taking a route across the middle. And I reached out for a one-hand catch, and boom, woo! I took a hit, and it knocked the dream right out of me. I got to tell you, in that moment, I quit on my dream. I gave up on my dream. Has anyone on here, if you know what I'm talking about and you can relate, just put something in the comment section about giving up on a dream. Just raise your hand and say, I feel you, Barry. I know where you're coming from with quitting on a dream. But I can tell you, I used the regret that I later had in life to fuel me. And we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. But once again, I quit on a dream. I had to have another dream to pursue. So at 17, what I didn't realize at 4 years old, I found out at about 17. See, I had a real life Superman in my life. It was my uncle, Freddie Maxwell. See, he was the first Black sergeant, lieutenant, and captain of the Austin Police Department. He had a very successful career as a police officer. He was a real estate investor. He was an entrepreneur. And in my world, this was the real life Superman for me. So what did I do? I followed in his footsteps. Because see, I learned something a long time ago that Tony Robbins once said, and it said, if you want to be successful, find someone that has achieved the results that you want and copy them until you achieve the same results. And that's exactly what I did. I spent 26 years in law enforcement. I've been in real estate for 20 years, and I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years. So over the course of time, and I was able to actually retire at the age of 45 from law enforcement because of my success in other endeavors. And then I became a coach and started coaching others on how to tap into their own greatness and achieve the success that they were looking for in life. So now you can see, I didn't become the Superman that I thought, but see, I pursued my goals and I achieved something that I never thought I would achieve. I had some struggles, I had some challenges through the way, yes. I had some failures that I turned into lessons that I learned from over the course of that time. And see, while it may not have been the Superman that I thought, but I've lived a life that's been pretty super, man. So I want you to understand that sometimes the dreams that you have may come out and they may look different when it's all said and done. But bottom line, continue to pursue the dream. See, we're going to talk about greatness here for a few minutes. And see, I want you to think about, keep talking about igniting and lighting the fire. I live in Denver, Colorado, and we also have a home in California. These are two areas that have a lot of forest fires. All right. And most of those fires, they're started by just a flame, just a flicker of a spark that starts on dry twigs and leaves and brush. And all of a sudden, the wind picks up and it carries that fire where it gets bigger and bigger and it becomes out of control and it becomes just a fire of destruction. Well, see, we're talking about the fire of greatness. This is a fire of distraction. See, I want to distract you for a minute in regards to your current thinking that has got you to where you are in life. If you are in a place right now in your life that you're not happy with, I am talking to you right now because I want you to understand that it all starts with being able to tap into your own greatness. Now, I told you that I was a police officer. 17 years at that time I spent as a police detective. So I had to prove my cases in a court of law. I put cases together to go into court of law to prove them beyond a reasonable doubt. So what I'm going to do with you over the next couple of minutes is I am going to prove to you, I'm putting a case together to prove the greatness inside of you. And I want to make a deal with you that if I prove the greatness that you have inside of you, you have to spend the rest of your life living in it. You have to spend the rest of your life pursuing the goals and the dreams that you've had for so much time. Do we have a deal? If we have a deal, put in the comments, it's a deal. Put in the comments, bet. That lets me know we're on the same page here. Now, I'm going to break it down. I only have a short period of time, but I'm going to break this down into three simple things. First, belief. I want you to understand about belief. Anything that we achieve, it all starts with belief. See, if you're trying to lift a certain amount of weight in the gym, or if you're trying to run a certain amount of time on a track, if you're trying to make a certain amount of income in your business, if you're trying to lose weight, it all starts with first believing that you can do it. Because if you don't believe that you can do it, it'll never happen. And a lot of times we have to look at the odds. Let me talk to you something about the odds. You know, when we hear that word, a lot of times it kind of puts us in a place of where we feel like we're behind the eight ball, like the odds are against us. I wanted to share with you one of the things that I learned about the odds that really empowered me to understand my greatness. See, I broke down and learned the odds. For instance, the odds of being struck by lightning. It's 1 in 3,000 will be one person out of 3,000 in their lifetime will be struck by lightning. I honestly thought that number would be a lot higher, but the fact of the matter is the odds say 1 in 3,000. Here's one for you. 1 in 3.1 million. One person in 3.1 million will be bit by a shark in their lifetime. Now, that's a lot bigger number. It's a lot less likely to happen, but again, there's odds to it. Here's one where I wish the odds were actually a little bit smaller. 1 in 175 million. I want you to think about that. That's a big number. That's more than half of the US population. 1 in 175 million will win the lottery in their lifetime. Think about that for a second. Now, I can tell you, I don't know anyone that's been bit by a shark, struck by lightning, or won the lottery. All right, because those are pretty steep odds. But here's one I want you to get. Here's one I want you to write this down. 400 trillion, 400 trillion to 1. Those are the odds of being born. Think about that for a second. But there is 7.8 billion of us on the planet right now. Now, that is the greatest odd there is to beat in life, and we all did it. Give yourself a hand because we're all here. And I tell you what, if that doesn't prove that there's greatness in you, I don't know what is. What does prove it? But I just said greatness in you. Let's talk about that for a second. See, in my book, Ignite Your Greatness, I actually share with you not only the odds, but I prove to you where greatness lies in the body. See, in the center of the chest, just left of center, you have the heart that's in our body. And then next to the heart, there's what's called the pericardial cavity. This is a space within the chest that allows, most doctors would tell you, this is what allows the heart to expand and contract and allow the blood to pump. But I tell you that cavity is where the greatness lies. Why does it lie next to the heart? Because the heart is the driving force of the body. Let me give you an example. We all have a car, or we've all been in a car, and we understand that there's a computer system in the car that controls it. Now, if we wanted to turn the turn signal to turn right, we turn the turn signal. Turn signal comes on. If we want to turn the radio on, we turn the radio on. Radio comes on. Turn the windshield wipers on, the windshield wipers on. If we put it in drive, it drives. It's all controlled by the computer system telling it what to do, much like the brain. I want you to understand this. If the battery in that car is drained and is completely dead, it doesn't matter what the computer does or what the computer doesn't work and the car doesn't move. The radio doesn't come on. The battery is the driving force to the car. The heart is the driving force to the body. See, while we use our minds to think and to reason and to have the mindsets that we do, it's the heart that gives us the drive that we have in life. So it makes sense that the greatness, because see, the greatness is attached to the spirit that was put in us. And the beauty of life is, from a biology standpoint, man created the body. A man and a woman came together and they created you. But the spirit you have in you, that's God's work right there. And if God is great and he made you in his image, then you too are great and you have this greatness in you. So again, that's the belief. Do I have you believing? If I have you believing, raise your hand and let me know that you're ready to pursue your greatness. Now let's talk about the next step, planning. I want to touch on this because I use an acronym, GPS. Most of us know GPS to mean Global Positioning System. We have it on our cell phones. We have it in our car. This is what helps us to be able to get from point A to point B, especially when we don't know how to get to the point B destination. We use GPS that gives us directions of how to get there. Well, my GPS is not Global Positioning System, it's Goals Plan System. And it does the exact same thing. It takes you from where you currently are to getting to the destination of your goal. Now, I don't have time to go through all 3 letters of GPS, but we're going to focus on that goal for a second because it's really the most important. So I want you to understand, when we set goals a lot of times, or New Year's resolutions, we usually write them down. We'll read them every day. We'll write them every day, but we've only taken it from pen to paper and taken it from a thought of, I want to make $1 million, or I want to lose weight, or whatever the case may be. but I want to show you how to really make those goals become reality. So when I'm coaching people, and let's say we're talking about a dollar amount. Let's say I have a new real estate agent that they want to make $500,000 in real estate in a year. I tell them to write that number down, write down 500,000, and they write it down. And then I ask them a series of questions. The first question that I ask them is, I want to know if you're in a place that you're making 500,000 a year in your business, what will you do with the money? And then they start to tell me, oh man, I'll pay off bills. I take my family on a much needed vacation for 2 weeks. I'll put money away for college fund. We'll buy our dream home. And then I asked them to get very detailed. Where will you go on your trip? What are some of the excursions you'll do on your trip? The dream home that you're going to buy, how many bedrooms does it have? What neighborhood is it in? Is it a gated community? How many garage bays do you have in the car? I get very detailed. And then we go to the next step and I ask them, okay, we know what you're going to do with the money. Now tell me, who does it impact and how? And they tell me, oh man, it impacts my wife, my kids, my parents. And then I tell them to get detailed on that. How does it impact your wife? Man, I can retire my wife early. She doesn't have to continue to work. She's worked so hard. And how does it impact your parents? I can help them with living arrangements, whether I'm helping them pay for where they're living at or they're living in a mother-in-law suite in our home. My kids are proud of me and they look up to me because of the things that I've been able to achieve. So again, I'm attaching them to not only the monetary amount, what they're going to do with it, who it's going to affect, but then it comes this most important one. I asked them to close their eyes and we go back through everything that they just shared with me. And I tell them, live in the future for a moment. Live in the future that you have achieved everything that you set out for. It's affecting the people that you want it to affect. You're doing all the things that you want to do. How does it make you feel? And the words that they say, proud, happy, stress-free, excited about life, all those different things. And I tell them, that's what we attach to. See, that's what you attach to. See, emotion drives motion. And when I can get you to attach to that motion, you live every day pursuing that goal. How do I know this? Because this is exactly what I did. See, in 2016, I had something happen where I lost a brother, I lost a father, and I lost some significant income that put me in a very bad place, the worst position I had ever been in my life. But it was through belief of knowing that I can come back from it and having the dream and visualizing what that dream was that put me back on track, that within 2 years, I had gained everything back that I had lost and also put myself in a position beyond where I had ever been from an income standpoint. Now, the last one we're going to touch on is execution. And one of the things I want to touch on with execution, I want you to think about this for a second. Now, we can have belief, we can put the plan together, but execution, without the execution, nothing happens. See, true belief, to know someone has true belief is to see how they execute, is to see the steps they make to approaching their goal. Now, I want you to think about something. I always use this analogy of two frogs sitting on a lily pad. One of them decides that they're going to jump for land. Always ask the question, how many frogs are on the lily pad? Most people will say one. No, there's two. Why is that? Because see, deciding to jump and actually jumping are two different things. You got to jump. That's execution. All right. I want to give you this one tool that I use for myself to be able to take myself from a very dark place of loss of life, loss of income, and use it as a fuel to generate the greatness and fire that fire inside of me. And again, let's talk about time. Now, if you were in a position, you've probably heard this before, where people will say, if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with your time? And I've heard people say, man, I would go on the vacation that I never went on. I would start the business that I never started. I would spend more time with my loved ones and do things that make us happy. Well, why don't you do that now? Because see, that question, the way that it's posed, if you have 6 months to live, if you knew that you only had 6 months to live, you are at an advantage that we don't have right now. Because see, the reality of it is we don't know if we got the next 6 minutes to live, but yet we act like we got a lifetime. And that's where I was in 2016. See, I had all these goals and I had these things that I wanted to do for my family, but I was operating like I had all the time in the world. And it was in that moment of that loss of life and loss of income that I got in a quiet place and I could hear God telling me, what are you waiting for? And I responded. I understood exactly what he was telling me at that point. And I can tell you, since that day that I heard the voice, I have been constantly going so many different areas. I'm in real estate. I just released a book. I'm doing public speaking. I'm doing course creation and training others. And so I'm going in so many different directions, but I don't know how much time I have. And I treat it just as that. So I got to ask you as we close this out, what are you waiting for? Go after those goals that you've set for yourself. Find the fire, set it ablaze, and ignite the greatness within you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to be here with you for these last few minutes. I got a free offer for you. As I mentioned, I just released a book, Ignite Your Greatness. If you go to greatnessignited.com, that's greatnessignited.com with the ED on the end of that, and you will be able to get the first 3 chapters of my book right there from the page. So I look forward to sharing that with you and seeing many, many of you ignite the greatness inside of you.